like, we know this game came out 5 years ago, and there was no game quite like it 5 years ago, and there was like no game quite like it now, still to this day, right? I'll say 5 things. The first is it plays like a Nintendo game. It has this level of fluidity and quality, right, that isn't present in any other console. You know when you're playing a Nintendo game, full stop. Second thing is that what they've been able to achieve on the platform of the Switch and stuff itself is still phenomenal. It's a game that is made in such a way where it still stands up over time, which has got to give it, credit where it's due in that respect. The third thing I'd say though is like the reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 kind of game for me is that the whole game has this avant-gardeness about it. Like, we don't give you this, but we give you this. We don't give you that. We're bucking trends this way. We want to do it this way, and yada yada yada. Right? And you can see a lot of that in a lot of Japanese media and mediums. Right? Always trying to be like groundbreaking and innovative by like breaking the mold. But I will say this though, like, some people can't give themselves good experiences, right? You could give them a buffet or a trip around the world and they'd still screw it up. So on the one hand, its greatest strength is also a potential weakness. Soundtrack, score, visuals and things like this, it's all pretty much impeccable, right? It's a game where you feel like you're in it rather than it's coming out to your world, right? Because some games are overwhelming with scores and music and needing you to do stuff IRL to advance the game. This game, I feel, incorporates all the things that are on the Switch platform and takes you into the game, which is great. And I think the last thing I would say in my initial impressions in playing the game so far is that it's a fun game, and the more time you spend playing it, the more fun it becomes. I feel like it's a game for fans of the franchise and The Legend of Zelda, right? I feel like if you play them, not from way back in the day, but if you've grown up playing a Zelda game, you're really going to like this before. But I will say this, if this is your very first Zelda game and you're not a child or an adult, like, the game can be confronting and tedious and feel like a bit of a grind because it's not necessarily on rails. Is it a good thing? Is that good? Is that bad? Honestly, I'm not sure. But there's so much variety and so much depth in this game that you could appreciate. There's always something to appreciate in this game, right? And that's what I really like. Lots of complementary systems and lots of the Legend of Zelda type artifacts and motifs that you would expect to find are in this game, right? Presented in new and refreshing ways. And that's why I said it's a really good game for the fans. But if you're new to The Legend of Zelda, whether you're a kid or an adult, there are some things that might take you by surprise. For example, the book. The book is the best example of this, because Legend of Zelda games, whilst intuitive and leverage your ability to be creative, and you get this map too, and to experiment and to play the game, to learn through play, right? As much as the game allows you to do that, it's a game that you might not be able to actually finish nor play to your full satisfaction without outside help, right? And that's something that I still feel like the franchise needs to get a balance on. Perhaps it's in there, maybe I haven't found it, right? But you don't want it to be like other games where you get bogged down in reading codexes and you get bogged down in menuing and all this kind of stuff. All that stuff is stripped down and removed from this game, and it allows for things like official guidebooks and community responses to help. But the reason why I'm elaborating on this point so much is I have seen the game deter new players, right? Young and old. And I have experienced myself where sometimes in other games, I'm not saying this about Legend of Zelda, because so far I've been able to progress and know I'm not right, I can go around, but I'm an experienced gamer. For other players of this game and the franchise of Zelda, they might not realize that it's a game that requires a lot of learning, right? And a lot of research and going out and finding the information. Just as how Link goes out and finds the info, you too have to go out and find info to complete the game, right? And I think the franchise needs to get that balance. I've never played a Legend of Zelda where you could do it without a guide, for example. I wish it was all kind of just layered in. But that said though, if you're aware of the experiences, the experience will be that you're going into the game, right? And that you need to go out of the game to get more information to go back in and further. If you know that and you're up for that, then it's going to be incredible. But there's like I said before, it probably is the best Legend of Zelda game, but it's not my 10 out of 10 kind of game, right? I feel my favorite one is still my favorite one. This one is still like very, very good though. Very, very good. Like everything is premium. Everything's plush. Plays fluidly. It presents well. It's held up well after 5 years. There's still stuff being discovered about it. When I do a review, the main things I say, like, would I recommend it? Yeah. Did it leave an impression? Yeah. Will I keep the game? Yeah. And did I have fun playing the game? Yeah. I did, and I am. There's been no point in this game where I'm like, I've just flat out not liked it. Right? Not yet. Now I understand you can spend a lot of time playing this game, and I understand that the game could get to a point where you might not like it anymore if you like muck it up. But that said though, this is exactly why Nintendo is the best, and probably always will be. It's just what they can produce. Nothing ever comes close. But that said though, it's not perfect. It's perfect for what it is. It's not my favorite Legend of Zelda game, and I found that a lot of the like I said, I feel like it's fun for the fans, and I think it's a beautiful new rendition. It's literally a breath of fresh air, revitalization of the franchise, you know. But now the franchise is probably at this crossroads, right, where it's got like a few different ways that Legend of Zelda games present themselves as, and or they'll all have different fan bases. The problem is this: once you make something that good, where do you go to from there, right? And how do you keep it, what was once fresh and inventive and fun, Will it still be the case? I'm not sure. But there's a lot. I've only just started playing the game, so we'll just see what it's like when I finish the game. I wouldn't want to. I can immediately tell you though that I don't want to go and find the 99 things you didn't know, or collectathon completionist type playthrough. No way. But the best thing about this game is that it literally has something for everybody, and it's definitely a game that everyone could and should try to play if you have a Switch, right? But that said, Zelda as a franchise is not a game for everyone in the first place, and I think we can all acknowledge that. Last but not least, I want to talk about how the game for people who are new to gaming, right? The game for people who are new to gaming, it's a hit and a miss. It's a hit because if you're new to gaming, you can do things in this game which you can't do in any other game, and when you're completely new and fresh, you can it's a wonderful experience to see it happen. On the other hand though, when you're really, really new, sometimes you need some direction, which is why it helps to play with a guide, right? And same with kids too. That's why it helps to play with a guide. And even if you're an experienced player, what I've found in my experience is that many players will play with external support. I rarely encounter a player like myself, which will say, I grew up playing Nintendo games where the experience is largely contained to within the game, right? Or unless there's something really glaringly obvious, like we might need to buy a Nintendo Power magazine at the supermarket, news agency. That's about it. Yeah. And so far, I've been able to do everything I need to do in this game, except for figure out how to cook. That wasn't immediately obvious. I've not yet experienced the sense of power, like the progression, you know what I mean? And Zelda games are interesting because it's never been about one swing and kill, right? It's been about Link is more resilient and more capable than ever, but you can still screw this up if you're not playing the game right. You know what I mean? You can't just one hit whatever. And from what I've gathered from looking around online, like the game has got all the core stuff there where you can actually do some very complex and elaborate things and have really wonderful and unique experiences. And that's probably the reason why this game is a masterpiece, more so than a 10 out of 10 game, is because you can really play it how you want to play it, how the player wants to play the game. You're not forced to do something that you don't want to do. Like the game is directed, and the game will you need to do certain things to play the game, right? But you have this feeling that you are the player of the game and you're doing it kind of your way within those confines. And that's really good. But like I said, for new players and stuff, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming because you don't really know what you're doing, and you don't really know, and you're trying to have fun, and it's wonderful it's wonderful in video games where it's like, this is the experience, and if you go through it, you will have fun, right? That said though, in the absence of that in this game, other than the meta story progression, the absence of that in this game is not a hindrance, because all the minor details are all relatively satisfying to do, and they're all pleasurable to do because it's got like that Nintendo quality, right? Just how it feels and plays in the hand, and how it comes back through a nice home theater and stuff like that. Very good. Haven't really played it in handheld mode, but this is the other thing too. Show me a game, right, that has the same I'm looking for a word. Same, or it's not the same, it's different. But show me a game that can be experienced so differently, right? Whether on the hand, in the hands, on the go, in the hands, in your bed, on a huge TV like what I have, or, you know, in docked mode. Show me a game that can be played across many mediums and in different ways that will always give you an enjoyable experience like this. You can't. The best thing about this is that this game is that you know it's the Legend of Zelda. Like it's just like bam, there it is. It says it on tin, and that's what it is, and it's really good. I don't know why it took me so long to ever just hurry up and play this game. I'm glad I'm playing this game. I feel like I'm a better gamer for playing this game, and I feel like my faith in Nintendo, its developers, and in this franchise is not wasted. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's perfect. No, it's not my favorite or anything. It's not my go-to choice either, right? So, like, why did we even get Legend of Zelda in the first place? Well, I bought it for full price and I got it on download to the Switch. So that way, Cash Miranda could play a Zelda game, because I was like, if you want to play video games, there's probably no better game that's going to teach you some of the more complex and nuanced elements of a Zelda game, not a Zelda game, but of gaming in general, as it is today, video gaming I should say, than a Zelda game. But the sheer depth to this game can be overwhelming for very, very new players, right? Which is why it's a masterpiece, but it's the same way as that you wouldn't recommend like particular symphony orchestras to people who are only just learning about music and how complex and music can be, and how music can be a gift that keeps on giving, right? Different renditions and such. Well, I'm late to the party on this, but so far I've yet to find no real true detractions to it at all. It's money well spent, and I'd love to hear what other people have to say about this game and their like first impressions of the game when they got it. Mine were overwhelmingly positive, but that's just the thing. Will they stay positive and continue to go there? I'm not sure, because there's so much innovation in this game, right? It's definitely elevated the franchise, and it's definitely carved out a place on its own, and there's no game ever like it, and there'll probably be no game like it after this either. Still not my favorite though, but it's very, very good. Very good. Alright, now I guess I better play it now. Hey, let's go and play this game now, so we can finish it and then have a more in-depth discussion about it with more experience under my belt.